Okay, let me share you the presentation screen. So actually in today's class we shall be discussing on the topic named as beams. So first let's start with this term beam. So I think most of you people are aware of this beam. You would have studied this in mechanics of materials, right? It has been taught in mechanics of materials. Do you remember it? Do you remember the concept? Yes, students, I need a response from your end. Please do interact.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so could you please tell me what you mean by beam? What is beam? What is beam?
Sir, a beam is structural element that primarily resists load applied laterally to the beam axis.
Okay, so I think I have clarified this I have clarified this concept in the previous class, whether you remember or not. I just posed a question for you people, that what is the difference between the bar element and the beam element, right? So we came to know that, and in bar element, okay, the load will be applied axially, in axial direction. So whereas in case of beams, the load will be applied in a vertical direction, that means perpendicular to the axis of the beam. So where the load will be considered as a transverse load. Okay, so that is why it's been named as beam. So you people would have seen the real-time applications of the beams in day-to-day life. So especially a good example is like construction of a home. When you just look at your home, so you will find the beam structures at your home. So where it can resist the lot of vertical loads acting on it. Uh, okay, fine. That's a good part. Okay, I just wanted to know what are the different types of beams are available. What are the different types of beams? How can we classify the beams? Just tell me, okay, whatever the type of beam you have been aware of. Arshajit, if you are there, could you respond me?
Sir, cantilever, sir.
Okay,
Uniform and non-uniform, sir, distribution.
okay, so fine, very nice. Okay, any other types of beams are there available?
Simply
Okay,
supported beam.
Okay, so fine. So I know that you people are aware of it. Now I think you can recollect the concept. So I'll just reframe this in an easier way. So when you are being asked what do you mean by how do we classify the beams, okay, you can easily say that based on geometry. Okay, based on geometry, it is classified as straight beam, okay, which is having a straight profile, curved beam, which is having a curved profile, tapered beam, which is having a tapered cross section, and I beam. So its cross section will be I in shape. The T beam, which is T in cross section. C beam, which is having C cross section. Whether you remember this or not, do you remember the cross sections? Do you remember the cross sections? Yes, do you remember the cross sections?
Yes, sir.
Yes. That is how we need to recollect the concept in a easier way. So if see, for example, I am just explaining this from the interview point of view also. Okay, sometimes, for example, you had been to any automobile sectors in future for an interview. So in the interview, if they ask you what is the beam, you must be in position to answer it. Beam is nothing but it is a structural member which is able to withstand the vertical loads acting on it, and also it should have an ability to resist the stresses induced in the member. This is a simple way of answering. So then again you will be posed a question. Okay, how do we classify beams? So beams can be classified based on geometry. Okay, next, it can also be classified based on equilibrium conditions. Based on equilibrium conditions. First one is statically determinate beam. Statically determinate beam. So that means this statically determinate beam, it can be resolved with the help of equilibrium conditions only. That means only equilibrium conditions alone can be used to reactions solve the reactions arising in the statically determinate beam. Next, it can also be classified as statically indeterminate beam. Statically indeterminate beam. Okay, when we come across statically indeterminate beam, so here the equilibrium conditions alone is not enough to solve the reactions. Additional deflections are needed to solve the reactions. That means additional conditions to be considered to solve the reactions or the statically indeterminate beam. You please remember this concept. Okay, next, it can also be classified based upon the type of support. It can be classified based on upon the type of support. Like as you mentioned, some of you have mentioned that it is simply supported beam, cantilever beam, overhanging beam, continuous beam, fixed beam. Let us try to know what do you mean by simply supported beam. Could anyone tell me what is simply supported beam? What is simply supported beam? What is simply supported beam? Let it be interactive. Just okay, I'll not I'll spend only 10 minutes of time for the basics. Then I will take you through the answers.
Sir,
Yes, Gautam, go ahead.
sir, the beam is simple on the structure is called as simply supported beam.
Okay, simply supported beam. Fine. Renault, if you are there, Renault,
Sir, yes,
unmute
sir.
yourself. Whatever the Gautam has answered, is that right?
Sir, uh, s- sir, a simply supported beam in which there will be no fixed end, sir. It will be simply
Okay.
supported on the columns, sir.
Okay. Avinash, if you are there, Avinash, Sai Kiran.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you justify that? Can you justify the answer raised by the Renault?
Yes, sir. Simply supported beam has only two supports, sir. at the ends of it, at the
Okay, fine.
both ends, sir.
Okay. So let me just brief you in a short. So it is nothing but it is a type of beam that has a pinned support at one end and roller support at the other end. Okay, this is how you need to understand in a simple way. Okay, simply supported beam is nothing but it is a type of beam that has a pinned support at one end and roller support at the other end. So depending upon the type of loading condition, type of loading, it undergoes shearing and bending. And among the different types of beams available, it is one of the simplest structural elements which is in exist. This is the simple way of understanding what you mean by simply supported beam. Okay, now let me take you through the another kind of beam. What do you mean by cantilever beam? What do you mean by cantilever? What is cantilever beam?
Sir, one end is fixed and other end is free.
Yes. So it is easier to understand a beam in which one end is fixed and other end is free to be added with a load which is subjected to the load. So then it is nothing but a cantilever beam. Okay, later I'll take you through the schematic representation. I'll show you how it looks like in real. Okay, next, what do you mean by overhanging beam? What is overhanging beam? What is overhanging beam? It's very simple. It's very simple. If you just consider a simply supported beam, if you extend the portion of the beam, if you extend the portion of the beam beyond the second support, beyond the second support, if you extend the portion or length of the beam beyond the second support, okay, further, so then it forms an overhanging. So hence it's been named as an overhanging beam. That's it. Very simple. Don't get confused. So continuous beam is nothing but it has more than two supports distributed throughout its length. It has got more than two supports. If any beam is having more than two supports which are placed continuously at a different distance below the beam, such a type of beam forms a continuous beam. Okay. Next, what do you mean by fixed beam? Fixed beam is nothing but it is a type of beam whose both ends are fixed. Whose both ends are fixed. Hence, it's been named as fixed beams. Is that clear? Is that
Yes,
clear?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Fine, good. So because see why I am highlighting these concepts is because when I try to analyze the beam using some softwares, we need to understand this concept first. We need to get aware of these concepts. Then only it will be easier for us to resolve any kind of beam in the ANSYS environment. Okay, now just I would like to ask, we came to know what are the different types of beams available. So okay, I would like to ask, what are the different types of loads? Different types of loads which are considered over the beam. What are the different types of loads acting on the beam? Different types of loads acting on the beam. Could you please tell me? Is any of your friend by name Sudhakar KN in your batch?
Yes, sir. 17 birds, sir.
Okay, fine. Could you please tell me how do we classify the different types of loads? How do we classify the different types of loads?
Point load,
Yes,
uniformly
very
distributed
simple.
load.
Uniformly distributed load and uniformly varying load. These are the three important types of loads which we should get aware of. The first is point load. This can also be named as concentrated load. Okay, next one is uniformly distributed load. So where it will be, the load will be distributed in terms of pressure. It will be distributed in terms of pressure over the beam. And also another kind of load is uniformly varying load. So where the load will be, the load can be noticed that it is varying from one point to the other point, from increasing to decreasing order or decreasing to increasing order. So that will be considered in terms of pressure over the beam. Okay, now let me ask you one question. What is the difference between the force and pressure? Could you please clarify on this? What is the difference between? That means how is force different from pressure? Is force and the pressure one and the same? How is force different from the pressure? Is both the terms are same? It's very simple. Just think over it. I'll just give 10 seconds of time. Just think over it. Just revert back. Any of you can interact with me. Renault?
Sir, the force is if the load acts at a unit point, sir, or unit surface area, it's
Okay.
a force. If the load acts at whole surface of the body, is known as pressures.
Okay. Arshajit?
Sir?
Arshajit, whatever the Renault said, is that right?
Yes, sir. Little.
Sai Kiran?
Sir,
Yes, so whatever the Renault said, is that right?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Force is nothing but a just a push or a pull action, sir. Pressure is nothing but force acting over a certain area, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, Hema and Yashashwini,
Yes, sir.
is that correct, ma'am? Whatever they were trying to say?
Yes, sir. Correct, sir.
Okay. See, because I need you people to interact among yourself and just I want to get clarified. Okay, I need an answer from your end. Hmm? Okay, so force is nothing but it is the external agency acting at on a point. Is that right? It is an external agency acting on a point or a body. Will you agree with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So whereas pressure is nothing but what? It is a load acting over an area on a body, or an area of a body. So it is a specific area on a body. So that is nothing but pressure. For example, if you just consider a piston cylinder contact, so that means the contact between the piston and cylinder surface. So that leads to pressure. Okay, so in that way you can easily differentiate between the respective terms. What is pressure and what is force? So pressure is always considered on area. force is always considered on point or a body. That's it. Don't get confused. Okay. Next, as you mentioned, the loads are of different types, like point load, concentrated load, point or concentrated load, uniformly distributed load, and uniformly varying load. So these are the loads which are considered on a beam. So let us try to have a look at how these beams appear when they are subjected to the different types of loads acting on it. So I will take you through this slide easily so that you can easily understand this concept. So you can make a note, you can notice this. You can notice. So here the first one, okay, the first picture image on the top left corner. So where you can easily understand that there is a beam which is placed on a simply supports. It has, see, you can easily notice a simply supports, or this simply support, it is placed here, or this simply support at any point over this beam, a load, point load is acting or added over this. So when we just consider its line diagram, it appears like this. When we consider its schematic representation or a configuration diagram, so on the top right corner, so this is how the simply supported beam appears, which is subjected to the number of point forces acting on it. Okay, now when we move on to the other kind of the loading condition, so it is also subjected to the uniformly distributed load. So there is a beam which is up here in gray color. Above this, we have another material placed over it, which is uniformly distributed over it. And below this, we can easily notice a simply supports. A supports has been placed here. And when we just consider this in terms of schematic representation, that is a configuration diagram, you can easily notice that how the representation of this uniformly distributed load should be shown over the beam, and as well as the reaction forces or supports which has to be shown. The reaction forces always arises at the supports. Please do remember this point. The reaction forces, it always appears at the points. So here, the uniformly distributed load, whatever we come across, right? So it can also be represented in this fashion, like vertical lines, or it can also be represented like this. Can you notice the pen which I am trying to draw over this? Can you notice it? Yes, students?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. Is the slide is visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Just hold on. Okay, now is it up here? Is it visible?
No,
Now is
sir.
it visible? It is not visible. I have shared my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Just hold on. Just okay. Now I think is it visible? Is it visible now?
No, sir.
The screen is not visible. I think can anybody visualize the screen? Please let me know.
Sir, slide is visible, but this one is not visible.
When I change the slide, can you notice the diagrams?
No, sir, it's in 12th slide, sir.
What happened to this? Otherwise, I'll do one thing. I'll stop the presentation. Once again, I'll just start the presentation.
No, it's not showing, sir.
Now I'll share you the presentation screen. Wait, please. Now is it visible? Now Arshajit?
Same screen.
Same slide, sir.
Yes, Arshajit?
Same slide is visible, sir. 12th slide.
But can you notice the diagram?
Yes, sir. Now we can point the, we can see this, sir, arrow.
Okay, so I will maximize the screen now. Now, can you notice? You please confirm me, Arshajit.
Sir, no, sir.
What happened to this? Okay, I think now is it visible? Sai Kiran?
Same.
Sir, a pointer, sir. Yeah, it is
No,
visible, sir. Point.
no, I'm asking whether are you able to notice the diagram?
Diagram. So which is in the slide we can see, sir.
That is what I'm asking. That is what I'm asking. Okay, can you notice this second diagram which I'm trying to push or
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
slide of this? Okay.
No, it's
Okay. So see the diagram, second diagram is nothing but the beam which is subjected to the UDL, uniformly distributed load. Here it is represented in this fashion. So where I'm moving the cursor. Okay, so this representation, whatever we come across, right, it can be either represented in this fashion. The load can be distributed, represented in vertical lines fashion, or it can be represented in different ways. Other ways are also there. Okay. So when we just proceed to the next diagram, so below diagram which I am highlighting here. So here you can notice that the left diagram is it indicates a simply supported beam. It's a simply supported beam which is placed on a roller supports. So here with the help of the simply supported beam, the simply supported beam can also be then it can also be configured into different kinds. It can be transformed into different types of beams with the help of the supports by increasing the number of supports on it. And we can also come across the another kind of beam. We call it as built-in Encastre beam. Built-in Encastre beam, whose two ends are fixed here, and the free end in between the fixed supports. So it is subjected to the different loads acting on it. And we can also notice the another kind of beam that is called a cantilever beam, which is subjected to the point load acting on the free end. One end is fixed here. So what happens here when this beam is subjected to the load? The beam it takes a new turn. That means shape, new shape. It will transform into new shape. That means the beam will bend in downward direction. It will bend in downward direction. So due to that, what happens? This beam will be subjected to the different number of stresses induced on inside the beam. Okay, now let me take you to the next slide. So here you can notice that when the load is acting on this beam, so this is how the profile or curvature of this beam appears like. So this beam is subjected to the compressive stresses as well as the tensile stresses. So here the tensile stresses is acting on the outer curvature, whereas the compressive stresses are acting induced on the inner curvature of this beam. So the beam may be of any cross section. Let us not worry about that. Okay, we should worry about what type of the stresses it is induced with. And also you can notice that this beam is also subjected to the shearing action. Along with the bending, it is also subjected to the shearing action, so which gets induced with the shear force. So here, in order to find what is the bending moment of this respective beam, which is subjected to the number of force with respect to the type of load acting on it, we can make use of this standard formulae. bending formulae. Bending formulae. So where m is nothing but bending moment, I is the that is inertia, or we call it as moment of inertia of the beam, moment of inertia of the beam, okay, or centroid of the beam. And sigma is nothing but it is a stress induced in the beam, which is subjected to this type of loading, particular type of loading. And y is the deflection of the beam, and e is the Young's modulus of the beam, and r is the radius of curvature of the beam. Is that true, whatever I said? Is that true? Is that true, whatever I said? Yes. Students, don't stay quiet.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, and you can also notice that here this beam, when it is subjected to any kind of bending, when it is subjected to bending moment, so here whatever the neutral axis which is indicated in yellow color, it will remain same. That means it will not be subjected to any kind of stress on it. So it will be neutral. It will be acting as a neutral axis. Okay, even when it is when it gets back to its original position, when the beam gets back to its original position, the neutral axis will also get back to its original size and shape. Even when it is under bending, the neutral axis, when it is under bending, its length will remain same over this beam. And here it is categorized by the deflection y, as well as the radius of curvature and the angle theta. So this is how you have to understand the concept of the beam subjected to the different types of loads. When it is subjected to the different types of loads, it is getting induced with the stresses on it, and also bending moment and shear force. And the third diagram which we come across here, this third diagram indicates the cross section of the respective beams. There are various cross sections of the beams available, as I mentioned in the previous that means 15 minutes back. In the beginning I have mentioned it. How do we classify this? Depending, that means its cross section, depending upon its cross section, it can be classified. So we come across square cross section, we come across rectangular cross section, and hollow rectangular cross section, and solid cross section, solid circular.
Sir,
Okay. Yes.
sir, in this figure, sir, shear stress will not change on the neutral axis.
Yes.
Will
So
not
that
vary,
means,
sir.
yes, here the neutral axis, the name itself indicates it will be neutral. That means its length will not vary. Its dimension will not. When you measure, when it is under before loading condition, when it is under loading condition, if you just notice that, okay, the length of this neutral axis will remain same. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is why it's been named as neutral axis.
Even for including shear as well.
Yes, yes. Only the outer fiber and inner fiber will gets induced with the stresses, and also it gets induced with the bending moment and share, that is a shearing action. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Sir, can you say again, sir?
Arshajit, what I am trying to say here is, see, when you consider a neutral axis here, right? So this neutral axis, when it is subjected to any kind of loading condition, so the neutral axis will not be subjected to any kind of stress here. It will be acting as a neutral axis only. Only the outer fibers, whatever we come across, right, fibers, this inner region and outer region, that will be subjected to the stresses. Is that clear?
Okay, okay, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
understood, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So here you can notice that there are different types of cross sections available, different, like circular cross section, circular hollow. So different I cross section is there, C cross section, T cross section, different cross sections are available. And each and every cross sections will have a different centroids located on it. So centroids will vary from one section to the other cross section depending upon the availability of the relevant formulae. So it has got some standard formulas. We need to apply those formulas and we have to find the centroid of that particular cross sections. So this slide indicates the different types of supports and different types of beams. So in general, this is how the schematic representation is shown. So okay, I think is that clear, so that we can proceed with the ANSYS lab.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Now let me share you the problem. I just want to share you the problem. I'll do one thing. I will stop this presentation. I'll stop this screen, PPT screen. Now I'll take you through the whiteboard so that you can easily understand the concept. Okay, let me share you this whiteboard. So can you visualize the whiteboard? Can you visualize?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine, thank you. Dear students, can you notice the problem here, the problem definition?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what do? You just copy the diagram here, and from the diagram you can notice that this is a simply supported beam. It's a simply supported beam which is subjected to the point load acting on it. subjected to point load acting on it, and this point load is acting at two points. That means over the beam at two different points, at two different distances. So that is what in the problem he has mentioned, that a simply supported beam is subjected to 2-point loads at B and D, point B and D, which is of 15 kilonewton, which is acting vertically downwards over this beam. And here the length of this, the total length of this beam is 18 meters. It is 18 meters. And you can notice that the from the left side, from the left end of the beam, the 15 kilonewton of load is acting at a distance of 6 meters from the left end. And from the right end of the beam, a load of 15 kilonewton is acting at a distance of 6 meter. And he has also specified that it is made up of certain material. That material is classified by its Young's modulus, value, so which is given as E is equal to 200 gigapascal. And here in case of this, no need of any manipulation. Okay, we doesn't require any manipulation for ANSYS purpose. Okay, directly we can, I will take you through the ANSYS lab, ANSYS screen, and try to resolve the problem. So for this case, what we have to find, we have to indicate how exactly the shear force diagram looks like and the bending moment diagram looks like. We need to extract the shear force and bending moment diagram for this, and we have to indicate what is the maximum deflection it is subjected to with respect to the load acting on it. Okay, I'll share you the, just hold on, I'll share you another another details, that is diagram details. So when you just view it from the side end, that is from the side, okay, this is how it looks like, its cross section. We can just view its cross section. So its height is 300 millimeter, and the width is from the side, it is of 150 millimeters. So it is rectangular in cross section. Is that clear? Have you copied the problem?
Yes, sir.
So please, I need a confirmation from others. If you are copied, let me know. Sai Kiran, Sachin, Arshajit, Gautam, Renaud.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you are copied, please let me know. Okay, now what we have to do, as one more point I would like to add here. While you are resolving this in ANSYS, when you are considering the units here, okay, you consider either in terms of millimeters or either in terms of meters. So for all the parameters mentioned here. So like if you are considering the distance in terms of meters and the height and width of this in terms of millimeters, means it will, that means the results may be obtained, but you may not uh, get the expected result. That means the values may not be matching nearest. So always make use of this technique. So always use a units either in terms of millimeters or meters. Any of these can be used. Okay, fine. Okay, now what I will do, I'll just stop this whiteboard. I will just maximize. I'll open the ANSYS software. How many of you have installed the ANSYS software as of now? How many of you? Let me know whether how many of you have installed the ANSYS in your laptop or desktop. Okay, Sujit has got installed with the ANSYS, it seems. Fine. Okay, so I think if anybody has installed the ANSYS in your laptop or desktop, simultaneously you can make a note of the procedure. Okay, you can copy the procedure, whatever I'm trying to explain here. Copy it and practice it at home when you're free during your leisure time. Okay, let me share you the ANSYS screen. So, okay, can you notice the ANSYS screen? Can you notice it?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Fine.
sir.
Okay, now I'll go to plot controls, style, colors, reverse video. So it gets transformed into widescreen. So here the type of analysis which we are going to perform over the beam is structural analysis. So to start with the preferences, okay, I'll just click on preferences and I'll select structural. Click OK. Now I'll go to preprocessor, first module. In preprocessor, we are going to create a geometry. So here we are going to start with element type. Add, then again add. So here we should select the type of element here. The main type of element, that is beam. Beam. We should select a beam here.
So that is not visible, sir.
It's not visible. Now
Now add after adding.
it's not visible.
No, sir.
No, sir.
What happened to this? So wait, just hold on. Why I'm facing this problem? Otherwise, I'll stop the presentation. Now again, I'll share the entire screen. Okay, I'll go add here, then again add. Now is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So beam. So select beam here, and among this you should select. There are three types of sub elements are there. Among these, you go for 2 node 188. 2 node 188. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Just click OK. Close this. Now go for real constants. Not real constants. Sorry. Go for material properties, material models, structural, linear, elastic, isotropic. Now we need to define its Young's modulus. So what is the Young's modulus value? for this material?
200 gigapascal.
So what is the value we need to define here?
200, sir.
So no, 200 E 5. Is that
5.
right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. 200 E5 or E3? 200 E3.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 200 E3. Click OK. Now exit this wizard. Go to sections. Here click on sections. In that you will find a lot of options here. Okay, among that select beam option here. Beam. Go for common sections. Click on common sections. When you just click on common sections, another wizard will open here, and this from this wizard you can define the breadth and height of that respective beam with respect to the cross section of that beam. So what is the height of that beam?
300.
So 300. What is the breadth of the beam?
150.
Yes, define it as 150. So B is 150, H is 300. Just click OK. Or see, before clicking OK, if you want to
What is subtype?
see the
sir?
preview, if yes,
So what is subtype, sir?
what?
What is subtype?
Here, okay, you just see here, since the cross section is of rectangular, right? It's solid. It is solid, right?
Yes,
So you can select solid here. That is cross section, rectangle cross section. If you come across the different cross section here, like rectangular, solid, circular solid, circular hollow, okay, rectangular hollow, or T section cross Z, yes, different cross sections are available here. So depending upon your beam cross section, you should choose that particular type of cross section here. Is that clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay, if you come across here circular cross section, means you should select this circular only. Then you should define that parameter only here, concerned to that circular cross section. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Sir, offset, sir.
Okay, you just go to the subtype and select rectangular. And here offset, you should select only centroid. Since we are performing the analysis with respect to the centroid only. We are not performing this with respect to origin or location or share central, share center. We are only concerned with centroid. Always, if you just come across any type of object, always you should deal with the centroid first. Got it right? Because centroid is mainly considered as a balancing point. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
If you consider any object, you would have studied this in engineering mechanics. Okay, if you consider any object, okay, that object is only balanced with respect to its centroid only. Got it? So always you should choose the centroid option here.
Okay, sir.
Fine. So now let's define the breadth of this as 150 and height of this as 300. If you want, you can give the name as simply supported beam. See, I will give the name as simply supported beam. Supported beam. And after defining all these parameters, necessary parameters, you just click on preview. If you want to verify that how it looks like, if you just click on preview, see how it appears like. So its cross section can be noticed. So directly it will, the ANSYS will provide its moment of inertia along YZ direction, ZZ direction, YY direction, and its area. It will directly calculate everything, including centroid and including other parameters, necessary parameters. So once after, you just click on preview, click OK. So we have defined the cross section. Now go to modeling. Modeling, create a key point, create a key point, inactive coordinate system, create a key point, inactive coordinate system. So from this diagram, you can notice that when I just draw this line diagram here, when I just draw a line diagram, so at point A, it is a roller support. It is a roller support. So that means it indicates that it can at point A, it can move in horizontal direction, but it cannot move in vertical direction. So that means in X direction it can be moved, whereas in upward direction, okay, it cannot move. It cannot move in upward direction. It is restricted here. And from this also you can notice that at point E, there is another kind of support, a point support or pinned support. It's a pinned support. So where you can notice that this can, okay, move. That means here we are assuming that this point E is fixed in both directions. It can neither move in this direction, it cannot move in this direction also. That is what it indicates. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you can notice that the 15 kilonewton of load is acting at a distance of 6 meters, means in terms of millimeters it is 6,000, at a distance of 6,000 millimeters. And whereas another 15 kilonewton of load is acting at point D at a distance of 6,000 millimeters from the right end, whereas from the left end it is located at a distance of 6,000 plus 3,000 plus 3,000. So totally 1,200 millimeters. This is located at a distance of 1,200 millimeters from the left end. So here from this we can notice that how many points are there? How many points are there over the beam? The first point is located here. Second point is located here. Third point is located here. And fourth point is located here. So totally how many points it requires to configure this beam?
4, sir.
4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4 points are there. Now let us try to know what is the distance between the point 1 and 2. What is the distance between point 1 and 2? Distance between point 1 and 2? 6,000 millimeters. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what is the distance between the point 1 and 3? Distance between point 1 and 3.
1,200, sir.
Okay, 1,200. Fine. So 1,200 millimeters. And what is the distance between point 1 and 4?
1,800.
Yes, 1,800 millimeter. So we need to define these points, key points first. After defining these key points at the respective distances, then we have to create a line between these key points. Add a line between these key points. Shall we do that? Okay, create key points in active coordinate system. So create first key point number 1. Key point number 1. It is origin point. So let it be as it is as 0. Click apply. So key point number 1 is created. Change this as key point number 2. What is the distance of that key point number 2 along x direction?
6,000.
6,000. Define it as 6,000. Click apply. So now change the key point number as 3. Define the distance of that key point number 3 as 1,200. Next, apply. Just click on apply.
So that is 12,000, sir.
Yes, pa?
12,000, sir. That is.
Oh my god. Just hold on. See, if it happens so, if the mistakes happen so, you just go to delete option here. Delete key points. Select that key point which has to be deleted. Click OK. Then again, get back to this key points. Create key points in active coordinate system. Okay, define 3 as key point number and 12,000. Click apply. So key point number 3 is created. Next, change the key point number as 4 and define its value as 18,000. Click OK. Could you notice that the key point numbers here on the screen? Could you notice it?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Now just go to click lines. Sorry, create lines, straight line. Now connect the respective points continuously. From 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Click OK. So 3 lines has been created. So all these 3 individual lines, whatever you come across, right? It has to be converged into single form. It has to be transformed into single form. For that, what we have to do? Go to meshing, size controls, manual size, click on lines, picket lines. Okay, from this you can notice that you can select the individual lines. Select the individual lines, click apply, and define the number of element divisions here as 50. Click apply. Then again select second line, click apply, define it as 50, click apply. Okay, select the third line, click apply. Okay, define it as 50 and click OK. Don't click apply. So it has been divided into equal number of divisions. Now go to mesh option, mesh lines. Yes.
Sir, why we are selecting 50, sir?
Because all the lines are equal. Is that clear?
Okay, sir.
See, if the distance between 1 and 2 is how much? 6,000. Distance between 2 and 3 is how much? 6,000. Distance between 3 and 4 is how much?
6. Okay,
Yes.
okay, sir.
So, okay, all the lines are equal. Hence, we can define that in the same of the same division. It can be defined of the same divisions. If, for example, if the lines are of different length, then you can define different number of divisions for different lines. Is that clear?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Fine. Now just click on mesh lines. Just click on pick all. So I'll just click pick all. Everything will be meshed here into one. segment. So initially it was 3 segments. So all these 3 segments has been converged into one segment. Okay, now we have done with preprocessor. Go to solution. Okay, define loads. Apply structural displacement on key points. So on which key point we need to place the support? That is the first key point. Okay, first key point. Okay, can be typed here or selected directly here. First key point, and click OK. And you can just click on UI. It is restricted and along your Y directions. It is restricted along Y direction. So just click OK. Then click on key points. Select another key point where the support has to be introduced. Click OK. And here when I just click OK, it will ask you to select. What I'll select all degrees of freedom. Let me select that it is constrained in all directions. Just click OK. And let me add a force here on key points. So on which key point the force has to be added here? On both key point number 2, 3. So why I am adding the load on both key point number 2 and 3 at a time? Because the magnitude of load is same at the same 2 points. If the magnitude of force is different, then you should select the different key points and you should define the different magnitudes for different key points. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Just click OK. Now I will select the direction of force as Fy. It is need to be added in vertical downward direction. That is minus, represented as minus. So minus 15,000. Minus 15,000 Newton of load is acting. Click OK. So you can notice that the force acting in downward direction. So now let's go to solve current load step. Click OK. So if the solution is done without any error, so you can move ahead. You can step forward. So now go to general post processor, plot results, contour plot, nodal solution, degree of freedom solution, Y component of displacement. So the reason why I am selecting the Y component of displacement is because the load is acting along Y direction. It is added along Y direction. So the deflection is also taking place along Y direction. So that is the reason, okay, I am selecting the Y component of displacement. Click OK. So this is how the deflection of the respective beam appears. So you can notice that dmx is the maximum displacement, which is of 78.86. Up to this extent, the beam is subjected to deflection. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Now let's try to plot a shear force and bending moment diagram. For that, you need to go to element table, define table, add, click on add. You just go to select by sequence here, select by sequence here, click on SMISE, click on SMISE and define the parameter as 3. SMISE 3, that is the standard codes. Okay, it is standard code which has been generated, which has been freezed in a ANSYS software in order to draw a bending moment and shear force diagram. So SMISE 3, click apply. Then click on by sequence, select SMISE and click and enter the code as 6. Click apply. Again select by sequence, click on SMISE, enter the code as 16. Click apply. Select again by sequence, click on SMISE, enter the code as 19. Click OK. So these 4 are very important here. So from this, okay, from this we can trace the shear force and bending moment diagram. Let's see how the shear force and bending moment diagram looks like. So once after defining that, go to plot results, contour plot, line element result. Click on line element result here, line element result. Just select element table item at node I as 3, SMISE 3, and element table item at node J as 16. I'll select it as 16. Just click OK. So what do we call this diagram as? Could you notice the diagram? What do we call this diagram as? What do we call this diagram as? Is it a shear force or bending moment diagram? How does it appear? So I need response from your end. Dear students, what do we call that as? Gautam?
Shear force.
Okay, Sachin?
Sir,
What do we call that diagram as?
shear force.
Sai Kiran?
Sir, shear force.
Okay, so what you have to do from now onwards, if you are trying to plot or solve a problem concerning the beam, okay, you have to make use of a code 3 and 16 for plotting shear force. 3 and 16. It is meant for shear force. Sorry, not shear force. It's bending moment. It is not shear force, I think so. And I just click on 6 and 19. When I select 6 at node I and 19 at node J, so this is the shear force. So 6 and 19 is meant for the shear force diagram. 3 and 16 is meant for the bending moment diagram. You can make a note of it in your workbook. So this is how the diagram looks like. Shear force and bending moment diagram appears. And in the exam also, if you are supposed to indicate this diagram in case of beam, you need to resolve it and you have to show this diagram. So when you show this diagram, then only it can be understood that your problem has been executed in a clear way. If somewhere while you are defining the input, if you go wrong, so your end result will also go wrong. It will not appear in a clear way. Okay, let's have a look at the reaction forces. For that, you just go to list results, reaction solution here, reaction solution, all items, click OK. So you can notice that that is Fy value at node 1, okay, where the support is placed, and at node 4, that is key point 4. So how the distribution of this force, reaction forces takes place. So at node, that is the where the roller support is placed, there 10,000 force is acting in upward direction, whereas at the pinned joint where it is arrested in all directions, that is at key point 4, a reaction force of 20,000 can be noticed, which is acting in upward direction. You can easily notice from these values. Any doubts? Apart from this, any doubts? That's all. Okay, that's all you need to show in any kind of beam analysis. So any other doubts do you have?
Sir,
Yes,
sir, for shear force only 6 and 19, sir. Is there
yes,
any other
6 and
number?
19 is for shear force, 3 and 16 is for bending moment.
Okay, sir.
That's it. This is a
Otherwise, is there
standard,
any other?
it's a
Okay,
standard code. We cannot change it because it is a default code which is already existing in the ANSYS software. Is that clear?
okay, sir.
So today I'm just feeling satisfied. Okay, I'm feeling happy that at least, okay, most of you are been interacting with me. So this is how the class should go on. So because the class will end up with the doubts only, always. It should end up with doubts only. It should not be like one-sided class. It should be like two-sided class. Okay, shall I provide you some numericals as an assignment? Will you try this at home during your leisure time? Will you try this at home? Shall I?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just hold on. I'll provide you only simple problem, not a complicated problem. I'll not provide you the complicated problem, so that you must be in position to resolve it. So can you notice this diagram? Can you notice this diagram? Yes, Sai Kiran, Sachin.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Rahil, can you notice it? Rahil, Rahil, if you are there. Israel, Nadeem.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So you can make a note of this problem. I'll define a problem. First, you make a note of the sketch here. You make a note of the sketch, and I will define you the problem. Just I'll give 30 seconds of time. You just copy it roughly. Okay, I will dictate a problem. Consider a beam. Consider a beam. Consider a beam of length L. 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 Of length L, whose cross section is defined by its breadth and height. Whose cross section is defined by its breadth and height. Whose cross section is defined by its breadth and height. Full stop. Full stop. This beam is subjected. This beam is subjected. This beam is subjected. This beam is subjected to a point load. This beam is subjected to a point load. Subjected to a point load. Point load located at specified distance. Located at specified distance. This beam is subjected to a point load P. Sorry, you can mention that term P. Subjected to a point load P, located at a specified distance. Full stop. Assume this material is made up of. Assume the beam is made up of Young's modulus. Assume that the beam is made up of assume that the beam is made up of a mild steel. Assume that the beam is made up of mild steel material. Mild steel material. Mild steel material. Full stop. One end of the beam is placed on a pin joint support. One end of the beam is placed on pin joint support. One end of the beam is placed on pin joint support, and the other end on roller support. And the other end on roller support. And the other end on roller support. Full stop. Where P is equal to 10,000 Newton. Where P is equal to 10,000 Newton. Where P is equal to 10,000 Newton, comma, L is equal to 2000 millimeter. L is equal to 2000 millimeter. L is equal to 2000 millimeter. Comma, Young's modulus E is equal to 2.1 gigapascal. Young's modulus E is equal to 2.1 gigapascal. Comma, breadth is equal to 200, height is equal to 300 mm. Breadth is equal to 200 mm and height is equal to 300 mm. Breadth is equal to 200 mm and height is equal to 300 mm. Full stop. Full stop. Bring down. So bring down the maximum deflection plot. Bring down the maximum deflection plot. Maximum deflection plot, comma, shear force and bending moment diagram. Shear force and bending moment diagram. Shear force and bending moment diagram. Shear force and bending moment diagram, and also the reaction forces, and also verify the reaction forces, and also verify the reaction forces, and also verify the reaction forces. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You please try this at home when you're leisure. Okay, try to solve it. Next class, I think I'll make you to solve this by screen sharing. Okay, you people need to share your screen from your laptop or desktop, and I will try to guide you people. I'll just guide you people so that whatever the doubts you have, okay, you can get resolved by yourself. Just hold on. Let me mark up the attendance. So only I think B2 batch people can answer the attendance. So was today's class helpful? Was it helpful to you people?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think. So what about this heat and mass transfer lab? Who is handling that lab? for today's class?
Anand,
Yes.
sir.
Is the lab going on regularly? Is it been handled?
Sir, not regular, sir.
No, how it is handled? How it is handled virtually?
Yes, sir. Some link sir shares, and in that we do, sir. We perform the experiments.
Okay, okay, okay. So fine. Sachin, Sai Kiran is there. Fine. So Vilash, Abhinash. Okay. Otherwise, I'll just do one thing. I'll provide the attendance. So if you have any doubts, okay, you can contact with me. So anytime you can interact with me. If you need any help regarding the ANSYS lab, you can interact with me at any time. Feel free to interact with me. Don't hesitate yourself and step back. Always please step forward. Okay, so I think we shall meet in the next class. If possible, you just let me know that on any other days, if you are interested to take me the, if you are interested, then if you want me to take the class, please let me know. To discuss among yourselves, among your friends, and see that whether you require the additional class or not. So because for beam hardly we require another two classes, because the beams they come up with different loads. Okay, so for that we require another two classes to complete the beams. After that we are directly moving on to the heat transfer analysis. So for that purpose we need an additional classes, special class for this. So you please see that, let me know that if possible in this week itself. If you just find a free space, a free slot anywhere else in this week, you please let me know that I can just handle the class. Okay, students, I think we shall meet for the next class. You may all leave now. Right?